Resist feminism.
Hi, and welcome to, or back to, my channel. I'm Kit, and today, well, this was going to be a simple video about Paul and Morgan not understanding what feminism is, and then I decided, I need to look into this a little more because I'm big on researching and not just saying things for the sake of saying them. I recorded the clip Paul and Morgan were reacting to so we can view it in full before going into their opinions, and then, curse my curiosity, I saw that the man in the clip commented on Paul and Morgan's video. And wow, I don't even know where to begin. Of course, as I'm typing out this script, I'll figure it out and pull together some sort of organized video, but just wow. Okay. We need some context. Paul and Morgan are married Christian YouTubers. I've done a few videos on them, as have a lot of people. They've been doing this for a few years now, and if I recall correctly, they began by doing dating advice and have since moved into sex advice.
We risk giving TMI
to help you navigate DMI, dating, marriage, and intimacy.
And I sincerely do not know why anyone would take advice from them. And I also want to say that YouTube is their job. Literally, it's their only job. And they can't even be bothered to research, script, film, and edit a video. They just do live streams. The bare minimum. If they could get patrons just by existing, I really think they would do that. Moving on. I'm not really sure how this clip fits in with sex advice, but I guess since it involves a dating podcast, sure. Apparently Paul saw this going around on Twitter and, well, here is the clip in question.
If I find a girl that I want to make my wife, and I find her super attractive.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what I would do. I would make her my wife. I would ask her to marry me and then make her my wife. You say you are a feminist. You're 100% a feminist.
That is feminist.
You heard me say that.
I want to make her my wife.
Yeah, because that's what I would do.
It's I'm an equal human, a woman.
What
It's not about
you say that.
To make her your wife.
Obviously, she would want to be my wife.
She has her own life. She wants to be your wife too.
Yeah, of course, but she's not
going
to.
She wants to go to the club. She wants to do her makeup.
No, she's not going to want to go to clubs. She's not going to want to go to clubs. No,
she does.
Because here's the thing: that's a non-negotiable for me in marriage.
Okay, well
if I find a woman, if there's plenty of women out there that don't want to go to clubs all the time.
Okay, well.
There's plenty of women out there that don't want to go to clubs in tiny little dresses and get hit on by guys all the time.
My first response was underwhelmed. It seems like a silly thing to argue about, especially when you're talking to a stranger, and especially a stranger you're unlikely to see again. But they don't bring people on podcasts like this to have calm, reasonable discussions. You need to have moments like these to keep people watching. Now, my question from here was, how does he figure she's a feminist? Because I have to say, arguing that girls want to go to the club and do their makeup and take pictures is... how is that feminist? Anyway, Paul and Morgan linked the episode in question, and as it turns out, this is from the Whatever channel. So far as I can tell, they began about 10 years ago posting prank videos, and 8 months ago, they began doing dating talk live streams. They currently have 3.91 million subscribers, and the episode in question is She Gets Triggered Because He Wants a Wife, from October 2022. The setup seems fairly similar to Fresh and Fit, male host, and a rotating cast of women. I will give credit where credit is due, however. The comments aren't half as vicious as the ones on Fresh and Fit's videos, and the host is much calmer. Anyway, let's let everyone introduce themselves.
Anyways, we're gonna have the guests introduce themselves, so please tell us your name, age, occupation, and/or school major. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lauren.
Into the mic.
I'm Lauren. That's my name. I'm from Potomac, Maryland, East Coast. I'm a comm major at UCSB.
I thought you were about to say you're a communist.
Not quite.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm also from Potomac, Maryland. We grew up together. I'm a senior at UCSB, and I'm a comm major.
I'm Tara. I'm a senior at UCSB. I'm from LA, and I'm a psychology and philosophy major.
Hi, I'm Ashley. I am a licensed insurance agent, and I am from State Farm in San Ynez.
Did you say age?
29.
29, okay.
I'm Liv. I'm 20 from Santa Barbara, and I'm a cosmetologist.
Hey guys, my name's Michael. I am 23 years old. I have my own cryptocurrency consulting business. Check me out at cryptocurrency.consulting.
What's up, peeps? My name's Chase, 27 years old, professional photographer and brand consultant.
Chase and Lauren are the ones interacting in the clip. Anyway, This live stream is nearly 4 hours long, but they so kindly timestamped everything. So now we're going to get to the big question.
You can just say yes or no, whatever your sense of this one is. And just to be clear, the question is, do you identify as a feminist? And to be clear, you can believe in equality and women's rights without being a feminist. Go ahead.
I would say yes.
Yes.
No.
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 Based.
Definitely not.
Absolutely not.
Definitely not for me. So I consider myself an egalitarian, so.
I would really like to know what each of them think feminism is, but it doesn't surprise me that the men on a dating podcast don't consider themselves feminists.
So you two, yes.
Maybe no.
Groupthink.
Come on.
Groupthink.
Don't be sheep. Don't be
Yeah,
sheep.
it's groupthink. I just think that, girls should be taken out on dates. I don't know if that's feminist, not feminist.
That's just traditional.
That's actually
traditional. Is
that's
that like
that's like
I would say that's like
that is antithetical to feminism.
Simply being taken out on a date is not antithetical to feminism. The expectation that the man always asks, always escorts, always pays, I would say that is what is not feminist. And apparently these two have sugar daddies, so I assume she does think men should always be the one taking the woman out.
Yeah.
okay?
So when you guys say you're feminist, what do you mean?
I guess we are traditional. We think men should take care of us, take us out to dates. We both
Like seeking arrangements. No shade.
yeah, something like
Super
that.
traditional.
Yeah, I mean, I picture myself. I'm like, I want to marry a well-off man.
So you guys don't want to be strong, independent women, equal to your husbands.
I
in
would
all
love to be a
ways?
strong, independent woman with also a man who's successful. So is that feminist?
I mean, if you want your husband to take care of you, that seems antithetical to being a strong, independent woman.
It seems to me that boiling feminism down to being a strong, independent woman is an oversimplification, but I think it's normal for people to want to marry someone at their level, but thinking a man needs to take care of his woman, I would suggest she ask herself why she thinks that. I also think it's normal for spouses to want to take care of one another, but that is not a gendered thing. And from the way she spoke, it seems like she thinks men should take care of women as a general rule.
Growing up, I always wanted to be a strong, independent woman, but like at this point, I mean, honestly, a lot of times I'm like, I never want to get married and have kids because like men have.
Because what? Because why?
I don't know.
Why? Yeah. Explain why.
Men are just so disrespectful.
So it later comes out that her last relationship ended with him cheating, and her friend is very interested in celebrity relationships, so they've come to the conclusion that all men cheat, which had the men saying that no, all men don't. Those celebrity men are just high value men who have hundreds of women after them. And I just want to note that if someone is high value, they don't cheat. It is that simple. Anyway, I can only go off this live stream, but I suspect that these two have a vague idea that feminism is something like man bad, and that is why they identified as feminists, because their opinion of men seems rather low at the moment. And as for the other women, I imagine they have the same idea, and that is why they didn't identify as feminists. Back to Paul and Morgan, they decided to offer their commentary on the clip. We are not going to watch their whole video, but I'll link it and the whatever episode below.
And boy, do we got a video for you today. Very interesting. This clip just has so much tension.
Please let me know if you felt any tension in that clip, because I sure didn't. If anything, they seemed bored. Paul is very excited to discuss it though, but first.
This clip comes from a podcast. Some of you guys have heard of it. It's called the Whatever Podcast. I am intrigued by this podcast, but I just want to do like a caution. If you go over to their channel, like, the way I would describe it is the creator of the creator and host of the podcast, he very much likes to facilitate conversations between maybe more conservative people in regards to dating. It's literally like a dating podcast, a conservative representation, and then he brings on girls that are OnlyFans models or girls that are very loose when it comes to dating or whatever. And so he facilitates, it's literally like a viral podcast. You get these two sides, they go at it virality. But if you go over to their page, like he uses, even though I genuinely like the guy, from what I saw, he uses images and stuff that are very explicit, I would say, or just very revealing. It's kind of clickbait. He's trying to create more interest. I would not.
Just be careful.
Be careful. Be cautious with yourself.
Cautious.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
It's been a while since I've watched a Paul and Morgan video, but is it just me, or does Paul really like to hear himself talk? Really, all he had to say was that the podcast uses provocative imagery and has guests of different moral values from Paul and Morgan, so use caution if you decide to visit their channel. I'm not going to show you clips of the clip since we've already seen it, but Paul is really excited about this and I am really confused about why. Anyway, though it was Morgan that prompted me to watch this video, it was this bit from Paul that made me look into it further.
I'm just going to assume I don't know anything about these girls and that girl specifically. I don't know. I think they mentioned they were like 22-ish.
Earlier in the podcast, they went around and the host was like, who here would say they're a feminist? And he specified and said, you can care about, women's issues and blah, blah, without actually being a feminist. Who's truly a feminist? And this girl said she was.
Okay.
Paul out here being afraid to say women's rights. I didn't see anything feminist in that clip, so I watched the live stream it was from, and there's many different ways to be a feminist, but saying you would call yourself a feminist and then saying you think men should take care of women, am I being too harsh? And the clip itself, that girls want to do their makeup and go to the club, you can wear makeup and go to clubs and still be a feminist, but that's not what feminism is about. If a person doesn't want a spouse that goes clubbing, that's their right. It's up to you to decide if that's a deal breaker or not. And yes, there are women who don't want to go clubbing. Does anyone else see any sort of feminism in that clip? Am I missing something? Because it really seems like this woman incautiously called herself a feminist, changed her mind because her friend did, because she realized she was in unfriendly territory, because, as her later answers would indicate, she never really thought about it before. We'll likely never know, but it seems to me like people took that and ran with it to feminist triggered man wants a wife, which is an incredibly dishonest way to look at this exchange. Anyway, let's hear what Morgan thinks about feminists.
So feminist, whatever. We're starting to see, we've seen this for a while now, but I think it's just becoming more and more clear because of social media, what a lot of colleges / the world is producing, and that is feminist. It is these people, these women and men, there are weird men out there too, don't get me wrong, but I'm just gonna talk about women for right now. These women who think that they're like infallible goddesses who should be worshipped at the altar and bow down to me men.
That is descriptive, dude. I'm visualizing.
Yes, well.
Man.
And that's what I feel like we're watching right now is like a girl who, and so like these women that are being created are like, anytime they hear any little thing that a man says that maybe kind of sounds like they would be in control or they would be the one leading,
Yeah.
I mean, bring out the claws and the teeth and the...
I would love to know what Morgan is looking at on social media that leads her to that conclusion. But to be frank, I think they just lie. That or they interpret whatever they see to mean whatever suits them in the moment. But I would love to see her... Actually, probably not. I was going to say I would like to see Morgan read something about feminism. Perhaps feminism is for everybody. But for one, I don't think she would. And for two, I don't think she cares. Ignorance can be worked with, but apathy is a tough one to overcome. Also, Paul.
When all the guy says is, I find a beautiful woman and I'm going to make her my wife.
Yes, he did say that.
But the triggering is coming largely from this woman's immediate instinct, which is, we're equal. No one is leading me. No one is the head of the home. This is the patriarchy. Down with the patriarchy.
No, she did not say anything like that, and that is a lot to read into the words of someone you don't even know. She said nothing about leading, for that matter, neither of them did. She said nothing about patriarchy. Her argument was that girls have other things to do besides worry about being some man's wife, like makeup and clubbing. But to be clear, Paul is happy to say what the man actually said, but he wants to make things up for the woman. Your bias is showing. So one final thing, and then we'll discuss Chase.
We love you guys. All right, love you guys very much.
It drives me up a wall when YouTubers say they love their audience, and yes, he said it twice. I'm sure Paul would say it's a Christian love thing, but I've seen others do it, and I'm pretty sure they're trying to build that parasocial relationship. And it's wrong. Anyway, Paul really likes Chase. And us women should be glad men like Chase still exist.
Morgan, I think that women should be glad that a strong, quality man, and I say strong man because there's not a ton of strong men out there. There's a lot of weak men, there's a lot of passive men, there's a lot of girly men that aren't going to even think about saying something like that. But this guy's, he's asserting himself. He's saying, I'm going to make her my wife. Mm-hmm. Women should be glad that there's men out there that want to do this. Because that guy, he said earlier, he called himself a Christian, but then he had some language. But he genuinely seems like a quality man for the most part from the clips that I watched. Clean up your language, bro. Represent Christ well.
So Chase left a comment on this video, and they of course pinned it.
Paul and Morgan, I'm Chase, the guy in the clip. One of my friends sent me your video. Fantastic commentary. Thank you for reviewing the clip. And Paul, I'm working on cleaning up my language, bro. It's a bad habit I'm working on. God bless you both. Keep up the great work.
And from there, I decided to look into this quality guy, and oh boy, let's have a look at some of his tweets.
Everything is fake and gay nowadays. That's why you have to be real and straight. The entire LGBTQ subversion of civilization fails if we all refuse to bend a knee. If you're afraid of social backlash or getting fired from your job for politely rejecting the Rainbow Mafia's agenda, you've already cucked. We have a duty to God and future generations not to cuck. I spent the past 7 years building enough sovereignty in my life to be able to just let it rip online without needing to worry about hordes of leftists coming after me. It paid off. The irony of it all is I face essentially zero backlash for any of the statements that went viral. You'd think the Rainbow Mafia would have come after me by now, but instead I've only received absurd amounts of support. Everyone's just like, man, thank God someone said it. A lot of people are pushing me to become a champion in the culture war right now. I'm not totally opposed to it. There are a lot of truths that need to be spoken. I've been attacked plenty in my life, and it isn't a big deal. My main concern right now is protecting my loved ones. People keep telling me not to sell out. Dude, I have lost so many massive career opportunities over the years for sticking to my guns and not compromising on my values. I'd rather die than give up the sovereignty of my own voice. The reason we're in the situation we're in today is because generations of men have sold out their convictions and virtues for the almighty dollar. You can serve God in this life, or you can serve money. I serve God. And I know I'll be judged if I don't. It's that simple. I've lost some of my closest friendships over the past 3 years for sticking to my guns and being unwilling to compromise on the truth. Went from being groomsman at one of my closest friend's weddings to being disinvited from his wedding entirely. You think I'm not willing to make sacrifices here? Guess again, dog. Show me what you've sacrificed in your own life for the truth. Then we can talk. I'll share a story with you guys. On June 1st, 2021, I finished a huge workout and recorded a long Instagram story about how the LGBTQ movement is moving the world toward the legalization of pedophilia. I said in my IG story that it's time we push back against the entire agenda, go on the offensive, and reclaim territory in our culture for God. The very next day, one of the biggest career opportunities of my life got dropped into my lap. A friend of mine hit me up and asked if I wanted to shoot a campaign for a popular athletic apparel company. Mind you, I'd wanted to work with a specific athletic apparel company for years. They were one of my dream clients, and my shot to work with them had finally arrived. I started emailing back and forth with the client. As it turned out, they wanted me to shoot a campaign for a line for Gay Pride Month in 2021. This was literally the day after I made an IG story about reclaiming territory in our culture from the LGBTQ agenda. I emailed them back and told them very politely that as a Christian, I unfortunately couldn't in good conscience shoot the campaign and was unwilling to compromise on my values. I then added that if they ever wanted to work on anything else together, I'd be stoked to do it. This was their email response to my very polite and respectful email to them. Chase, this is extremely disappointing to hear. We will never work with people who share your values of exclusion. Do not email me regarding other shoots. We'll find someone else who aligns with our values. I'm so sorry for this ignorance. Got the Ben Shapiro RT. Let's go. Ben's Judeo-Christian values are still a fake and gay psyop, though. They're called Christian values, not Judeo-Christian values. I am a Talmud disrespecter and Christ's strongest goy. By the way, the Antichrist will almost certainly be seen as the Jewish Messiah. Few understand this. They want to destroy the nuclear family and invert God's natural order. The culture war is a manifestation of the spiritual war happening in the heavens. This is a war against God and against people finding God. LGBTQ ideology often captures people's souls for eternity. The war on the nuclear family is also a major component of the depopulation agenda. Few understand this. Can you still get banned on Twitter for misgendering people? Or can I let it rip now that Elon's in charge? Universities have become factories for the mass production of feminist whores. Pass it on. It's time to go on the offensive and reclaim territory in our culture. One man does it, easy for him to have a target on his back. 1 million men do it, it's unstoppable. 100 million men do it, the culture is ours again.
June 29th, 2022.
Wish there was a dating service for men and women who are Christian, fully torqued, unvaccinated, aware of the bankers, not buying into globo homo.
March 4th, 2023.
Just got off the phone with a tech founder who wants to create this with me. God is moving.
Retweet.
Just remember that when Christians rule our country again and the dollar is backed by gold, bank runs and economic collapse will be a thing of the past.
So, ladies, are you feeling grateful that this strong man exists yet? Sovereign Bra. Pursuing truth, liberty, Jesus Christ, and personal sovereignty. New World Order disrespecter. Hashtag pureblood, hashtag Bitcoin. When I saw the pureblood hashtag, I rolled my eyes and I did figure it was a no-vax thing, but he also saw fit to clear this up.
People always see the pureblood tag in my bio and assume it's a reference to race or something. Dude, it's because I didn't fall for the greatest psyop in history and inject myself with an experimental gene therapy that's poisoned billions of people. And I'm damn proud of it.
Perhaps, if people keep mistaking this for a race thing and you're not racist, you might consider removing it or using a different hashtag. But then I scrolled through his follows, and no, following someone doesn't necessarily mean you agree with them, but at some point, questions emerge. We have the usual suspects: Michael Knowles, Jenna Ellis, Tim Pool, Laura Loomer, Grant Cardone, Andrew Tate, Libs of TikTok, Carnivore Aurelius, Samira Khan, and AJ Cortez and Noah Ravoy, who also participate in the 21 convention. And then, well, so here is Ib, who is apparently fixing the birth rates. And I know you're all wondering how he's going to do that, so
governments are left scrambling to try and encourage a baby boom. The only way to do this is to get more people married earlier in life. Literally nothing else will work. Boebert becoming a grandmother at 36 is incredible. Imagine a norm of marrying at 20 with a first kid soon after. 4 40-year-old grandparents, 8 60-year-old great-grandparents, 16 80-year-old great-grandparents. Broad, deep generational memory and planning could extend into millennia. Other families would always be starting over from scratch, eking out new existences, paying rents and consumer dollars to strangers, leaking their energy as a lineage of amnesiacs. But your family organism could be as a tribe, becoming the rulers of expansive territories.
So that's it. Marry and have kids young. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that most people don't want to raise their kids only to turn around and help raise their grandkids. Also, where is the money for all this coming from? And has he followed his own advice? Emerald Robinson, former White House correspondent for Newsmax and OAN, now hosting her own show on a website that claims to be the voice of free speech. And I'm just wondering how extreme someone has to be for Newsmax and OAN to say no thanks. Dr. Nick's Red Pills. Time to wake up. Your world is being taken over by globalists. Hashtag Plandemic, hashtag Agenda 2030, hashtag Great Reset. Ancestral Vril, Christian nationalist making you vigorous and spiritually strong. Culture wars and biblical masculinity. David J. Riley, award-winning radio host, independent journalist, Christian nationalist, F-list e-celeb, hashtag America First, hashtag Bitcoin. An Anglo Future, Anglo-Protestant cultural appreciation account. You belong to a people and a place. Be local, be faithful. We are blessed and well able to possess the land. Christ supremacist, Christ enjoyer, Antichrist disrespecter, aspiring patriarch. I notice things, pronouns, based/Christ build, DeFi Maxi, Trad West, Western civilization, New World Order watch, exposing the global cabal, anti-Semitic lyrics that go hard. Aryan Shizo, find the truth, don't let your ancestors down. Anti-White Watch, documenting and compiling data on violence, hate, discrimination, and bigotry directed at hashtag ethnic Europeans. Racial consciousness. Race is the most important piece of the human puzzle. Everything else is subsidiary. So, we have red pill, racism, anti-Semitism, alternative news sources and journalists, culture war, spiritual war. My assumption was that Paul didn't do his due diligence before talking about what a swell fella Chase is, but perhaps he did, and he agreed with what he saw. I always wrote Paul and Morgan off as lazy grifters, but who knows? Maybe they agree with all of this, and they just keep it quiet because their audience wouldn't be into it. But if not, Paul, you should vet someone before singing their praises to your audience. I always wonder when I see this kind of talk. I know Chase and his fellows think the world will be a better place if they win, but what about the people who don't agree with his vision or who don't fit into it? The trans people, the gay people, the non-Christians. I assume we would be given the chance to repent, but what if someone chooses not to? What happens to them then? They always talk about winning the war, but never about how exactly that would happen. Sure, they want to build up non-woke businesses and homeschool and ensure people know the Bible, but they conveniently leave out a lot of ugliness that would have to happen if they were to get their way. Despite their belief, people are not gay because they're just full of sin. People are not Christian because they don't know the Bible. You don't just go to someone, show them the Bible, and then they automatically repent and turn from their sinful ways. In fact, for most of us, those sinful ways aren't actually sinful. And another thing, it's so weird to me that they're always talking about war and the culture war and the spiritual war and how in the good old days men did X, Y, and Z and women did A, B, and C and men did not die in wars for the culture to become what it is today. And how do they know? How do they know what people hundreds of years ago were thinking? Why do they assume people back then were as narrow-minded as they are now? The fact that we are here today is proof they were not. Editing Kit jumping in to add that they talk about how weak men are the reason we are where we are today, and that is false. It takes courage to go against the crowd. Standing up against the old norms was not weak, it was strong, especially considering the consequences. And how dare they hope for a war so we can be trapped in such black and white thinking again? So daring to step outside that incredibly confined box could be a death sentence. Why can they not appreciate how free we are today? Just because they want a direct path in life with no questions, work, marry, have kids, does not mean everyone else needs to join them on that path. Editing Kit jumping in again to add, I understand the search for meaning, just don't drag us into your search and make us fight something that's in your head so you can feel your life has purpose. They can still live it, just let the rest of us be. And that is what scares me about Chase and his ilk. They will not and do not want to just leave people who don't agree with them alone. Apparently he also went viral for this.
Said, Chase, would you rather smash the hottest trans woman in the world or the oldest woman in the world? Honestly, bro, the oldest woman in the world, because then I wouldn't be gay. Are you like, Chase, how dare you be transphobic?
Yes, actually, what the fuck do you mean?
Because if I had sex with a trans woman, I'd be having sex with a biological man, and I don't want to do that. Because I'd be gay if I had sex with a biological man.
That's not gay.
That's
And
gay.
I don't even shut the fuck up, actually. She's right. I mean, that's really hateful,
She's not. Would technically be homosexual. A trans woman is a biological man. Sue me. It's true. You know what God said? It said he made the man and women. He made the man and woman. I just told you I'm not gay. I'll pass on that. Thanks, though. Who knew that stating biological facts would make people walk off the show?
Yeah, he seems like a really great guy. I suspect he's what Paul wishes he could be. And that's it for this video. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I would like to give extra thanks to my patrons, and if you would like to help support the channel, my Patreon is linked below along with my socials. Liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing are also great ways to show your support if you would like to. Have a great day, night, whenever you happen to be watching this, and fade to cats.